Derek, a bunch of your mending players were on the ice. What's kind of the status of some of them? Sundqvist maybe Thursday? Or?
Yeah, hopefully. Sundqvist should be in the day-to-day. Bert, we're hoping to see in the West Coast trip. So maybe that 7 to 10 day range. I'll probably put Wallman in that same 7 to 10. And a little more on ZZ's lower body, but 6 to 8 weeks. So obviously not positive, but a little more optimistic than what we originally thought. Did I miss anyone? Just Fabs and those guys. Fabs and Pysyk are still in that January 1 type range.
It's going to create a nice problem to have, I would think, right? That's kind of the position you want to be in, make those tough decisions.
Yeah, well, you still hope to get there, staying healthy. But again, like we talked when we had all these rash of injuries, was we like our depth. We addressed it in the off season. Even those nights we had 4, 5, 6 guys out, we had a winnable lineup. Our guys played as such. So, yeah, of course, we'd like to get to that point and have that good problem.
The guys you've called up, have some NHL experience. Is that part of the appeal over maybe somebody like Berggren, who certainly has offensive skill, but
bang on, like 100%. Short-term call-up, some experience there, some guys we trust. Berggren, if he sees time, it would probably more of a bigger window of time. Let him keep developing down there. If we need a player in a 2-week span, a 3-week span, where he could develop him on the fly a little bit. But right now, those two have been excellent. Luff and Zarnik understand our system, safe, very little risk in their game, above on everything. Actually create some offense for us the other night. So, yeah, you were bang on the thought process on those call-ups.
We talked a lot about Ned's stick handling, but I'm curious, Billy, with his communication and your breakouts, what you've seen on that with him.
They've both been great this year. Something we work on. Ned is an elite puck handler, helps us in our retrievals, what we're trying to accomplish back there. I didn't really have much of a feel on Billy coming into the season on how he handled the puck, and he's been excellent. We don't need a lot out of our goaltender. We don't need him leading the rush or creating offense. We just need to be predictable, simple, and Billy's done that. And I just think with Billy too, his game is so confident right now. I think you see that with goalies and their puck handling, and that's where he's at.
It's not uncommon for goalies, but he seems like he's one of those guys who's going to be really to himself, super quiet off the ice, but you can hear him out there.
Yeah. When we talk about communicating, that's an issue for us as a whole. We have a quiet team. I think when you see issues with our breakouts, I think the Washington game, we had a ton of turnovers out of our zone. We have issues in our D zone. A lot of it starts with just a simple communication. So, we can improve in a lot of areas. That's one area we certainly do improve in.
Was Tampa a loud team, for lack of a better?
Yeah, they were. But it took us time to get there, and different personalities, communicating. So yeah, just something constantly preach. And when you're playing well, you're usually hearing guys talk out there.
What do you think it does for the locker room when you start to see some of these guys out at a morning skate and practicing with you guys?
Oh, good. Well, one, it's just their personalities too. Like, obviously, we miss Sonny in that he's a heavy body. He gives us something we really don't have. He was excellent on the net front. He was in our top 400 penalty kill. That one stung when he went out, but he's a personality, and he's big in the room. We walked through our EPL recap on the weekend. Just little things like that. He's a phenomenal human being to be around. So I think, just those guys around, but there's some personalities in that. Fabrice in that leadership group too. Obviously Bert. So of course a positive having those guys around. I'm a Main City guy, and that was pre-budget where they're sitting at right now. So yes. No, he despises Man City. So it's usually how the conversation starts. He claimed a match fix on the weekend when they got the penalty kick with the 95th minute there. So that's the in-depth conversation we had on the ice out there.
Is he a United guy, or?
I don't. That's a good question. I don't think he is. I remember the Tampa guys were really big in the EPL, and Victor Hedman was a passionate Man City guy. Like, his moods daily went up and down with their play. But I think Sonny's more of pick on whatever team someone else likes team. But I don't, I'll ask him.
So, blunt question. When you're a new coach and you've got fresh eyes and you show up to camp and there's a 6'8" forward, like, what were your first impressions? And do you have to resist the temptation of maybe typecast?
100%. Like, you see the package, 6'8", and you saw the hands, and then you saw the compete that he had in Traverse City and moving forward. You knew it would be a process. It's such a hard jump to this league period, let alone coming out of the league he came out of. And those first 3-4 games, he looked at pitch. But then he was in a couple of those games where it was fast for him. He had a couple blue line turnovers, a couple end up at the back of our net. Even the other night, as well as he played, we're on the road, trying to get a point, and he has a blue line offensive turnover with 4 minutes left, which I loved. I was working my way down the bench to just discuss it with him, and 2-3 players already talked to him with him. So there's just growth like that. We knew with him starting with us, you're going to go through some of those moments that you just get through. And to his credit, a couple of those games I talked about, he bounced back pretty well. So I still think there's going to be huge ups and downs in his game, but there's so much to be excited about.
Just a quick one from me, Coach. I think it was after Thursday's game, Andrew Kopp said that it felt like you guys were kind of every other game right now and
Yes.
playing the way you want to play. Right now it feels like you've been able to string together 3 of those types of games. What differences have you seen from that?
Well, the good road game, having the pieces we've had out of the lineup, it has been a help to have the line change at home. But obviously we did not have one. I just think a good commitment to doing the right things, managing our game. And again, we're not going to score a ton of, it's just what we are, who we are. The consistency has to come from the commitment of keeping out of our net. And I think, that was some inconsistency in our game, but we did that on the weekend. We did that on Sunday in New York. So tonight's our next challenge. We're 0-2-1 after a day off. And not only are we 0-2-1 after a day off, we've given up, not a strong math guy, but it's a lot, 8, 5, and 5, I think. So we've given up a ton of goals and just not committed to that. I don't know if we even tried to, as a staff, evaluate ourselves and what we could do different. We saw the morning skate was a little longer than usual on a morning skate. We had a little more tempo to it. So that's our next challenge tonight.